The train hissed, steam spilling across the platform like ghostly fingers. Anna Harper stood there, clutching her worn carpet bag, her heart pounding in her chest. She had traveled 3 days across the country, chasing a promise of love, a belonging, of a new life. A mail-order bride. She had rehearsed her smile, her words, even the way she would lower her eyes with modesty when her intended husband met her. But he never did. Instead, a tall, stern woman, his sister perhaps, met her with sharp eyes and sharper words. "He's changed his mind," the woman said coldly. "He doesn't want you." And just like that, Anna's future shattered. Her trunk, stuffed with all she owned in this world, was set down on the wooden planks of the depot. Her carpet bag slipped from her hand, returned, like a parcel no one wanted. Anna tried to hold back tears. She lifted her chin, willing herself not to break in front of the strangers watching. But inside, her heart bled. She whispered, almost to herself, "Where do I go now?" The train whistled. The woman who delivered the cruel message turned on her heel and left. The passengers bustled past, busy with their own lives. The depot quieted, leaving only Anna, her trunk, and the hollow echo of her broken dream. Her knees trembled. She sank onto the wooden bench, staring at her hands. This was supposed to be her chance, her way out, her way to belong to someone. Instead, she was abandoned. And then, footsteps, steady, slow, approaching. Anna looked up through the haze of tears. A man stood there, broad-shouldered, sun-worn skin, hat pulled low against the glare. His eyes, piercing, quiet, steady, rested on her. He studied her a long moment. Then, without a word, he bent, gripped the handle of her trunk, and lifted it as if it weighed nothing. Anna's lips parted. "Wait, what are you?" His voice was deep, calm, sure. "Come along, wife. Wife." The word hung in the air, heavy, unreal. Anna froze, breath caught in her throat. Strangers nearby turned to look. Heat rose in her cheeks. She stammered, I don't even know your name." The cowboy tilted his head, eyes never leaving hers. "Name's Elijah Carter. You'll know the rest in time." Her heart thundered. The world seemed to tilt. She had been left behind, abandoned. And now, a stranger was claiming her with a single word. Was it fate, or another cruel twist of destiny? Anna's lips trembled as she whispered, "Why me?" Elijah's answer came low, rough, almost like a vow. "Because no woman deserves to be left waiting at a depot." The train wailed in the distance. The air felt charged, thick with something Anna couldn't name. And in that moment, standing in the shadow of heartbreak and hope, Anna realized her story wasn't ending here. It was only beginning. Elijah walks away from the depot, trunk in hand, expecting Anna to follow. Her decision, whether to rise and walk into the unknown or remain abandoned, hangs in the balance. The depot was quiet now. Only the creak of wooden planks beneath boots and a whisper of wind through the station rafters. Elijah Carter didn't look back as he carried Anna's trunk. Not once. He walked with the sure step of a man who always knew where he was going. Anna sat frozen on the bench, her breath shallow, her heart warred with itself. She had no reason to trust this man. No promise, no letter, no safety. And yet, he had lifted her trunk. He had spoken one word that rattled through her bones. Wife. Anna's fingers gripped the worn fabric of her skirt. The sting of rejection still burned in her chest, but something else sparked there too. Something dangerous. Hope. She rose slowly. Each step toward him felt like stepping off a cliff. When she caught up to him, her voice was hushed. Fragile. "Where are you taking me?" Elijah's gaze flickered down to her, steady as stone. Home. One word. Solid. Irrefutable. Anna's chest tightened. Home. The very thing she had been denied her whole life. But whose home? His? The word echoed, filling her with both fear and longing. As they crossed the dusty street, townsfolk whispered. Curious glances followed them. Anna's cheeks flamed. She clutched her carpet bag like a shield. A woman at the general store leaned out, whispering loudly enough to hear. Another bride? Poor girl. Doesn't she know? Anna's stomach nodded. Doesn't she know what? But Elijah kept walking. His silence was a wall, a fortress she could not breach. They reached a horse-drawn wagon, its paint worn, its wheels weathered. He set the trunk in the back with a single effortless motion. Then he turned, offering his hand. Anna hesitated. Her breath caught. His hand was calloused, rough, but steady. She placed her fingers in his palm. The warmth jolted through her like lightning. He lifted her up into the wagon as though she weighed nothing. For a long moment, they said nothing. The horse snorted. The leather reins creaked. Finally, Anna whispered, unable to keep the question locked inside. "Why did you call me that?" "Wife." Elijah's jaw flexed. His eyes stayed on the road as he clicked the reins and the wagon rolled forward. "Because once a word is spoken, folks will believe it. And now, no one can treat you like something to be returned." Anna's throat tightened. Returned. The word sliced her, sharp as glass. She turned away, watching the horizon blur past. Her heart was a storm. Part of her wanted to trust him. Part of her wanted to scream. "You don't even know me," she said softly. His reply was rough, low, but certain. "Then I'll learn." Silence stretched between them. Heavy, electric. Anna's fingers trembled in her lap. She was caught between dread and a flicker of something else, something dangerous. The wagon rumbled out of town, leaving the whispers and prying eyes behind. The open plain stretched wide, endless. Golden grasses swayed under the weight of the sun. Anna's chest ached as she whispered into the wind. "What if I don't belong? What if I'm just another burden?" Elijah's eyes flickered toward her, steady and unwavering. "Then you'll learn to belong. And if you're a burden—" He paused, voice softening just enough to crack her heart open. "I'll carry it." Her breath hitched. She stared at him, but he looked only at the road, his profile carved in sunlight and shadow. No man had ever said such words to her. And yet, she sensed walls around him too. High walls. He wasn't offering his heart. Not yet. But he had given her something else. A place to stand. The road stretched ahead, winding toward the unknown. Anna held her carpet bag close, fear and hope locked in her chest. And she realized whatever awaited her at the end of this road. Her life had changed forever. As the wagon rolls into the horizon, Anna finally dares to glance at Elijah again, only to catch the shadow in his eyes. A sorrow, a secret, something he carries just as heavy as her own heartbreak. The wagon wheels groaned over the dirt road, carrying them farther and farther from the depot. The horizon stretched wide, vast, endless, like a canvas painted only with sky, earth, and possibility. Anna sat in silence, hands clenched in her lap. She wanted to speak, to ask, to understand. But Elijah Carter rode beside her like a stone statue, unyielding, solid, and silent. The sun slipped low, painting the land in hues of fire and gold. When at last, a cluster of buildings broke the emptiness, and his heart lurched. A ranch. The wooden house was sturdy, though worn by wind and time. A barn stood tall behind it, and the corral held 2 restless horses. A windmill creaked in the distance, pulling water from the earth. It wasn't much, but it was alive. It was home. Elijah guided the wagon into the yard. The horses stilled, snorting softly. He hopped down, boots crunching against the earth, and turned to offer his hand again. Anna hesitated, staring at him, then let her fingers slip into his palm. That warmth again, that strange, grounding strength. When her boots touched the ground, she breathed in dust, hay, and the faint sweetness of prairie blossoms. It smelled of work, of sweat, of life lived honestly. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine she could belong here. But then, a door slammed open. A boy, no older than 10, darted out, followed by a girl with braids and sharp, suspicious eyes. They froze when they saw her. "Pa?" the girl asked, voice edged with mistrust. "Who's that?" Anna blinked. Her gaze darted to Elijah. "Pa." Her chest tightened. He had children. Elijah's face was unreadable as he set her trunk on the ground. "This is Anna," he said evenly. "She's your new mother." The words struck her like a thunderclap. "Mother." The boy's eyes went wide, confusion flickering across his small face. The girl narrowed her gaze, chin lifting in defiance. "You can't just bring someone here and call her that," she snapped. Anna's throat tightened. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but her voice faltered. Elijah's eyes hardened slightly. "Mind your tongue, Clara. She's here now. That's the end of it." The air was heavy, tense. The children stood rooted, torn between disbelief and resentment. Anna stood there, her heart pounding, knowing she was walking into a storm she didn't yet understand. Elijah finally turned to her, voice softer, though still laced with command. "Come inside. You must be tired." Anna followed him into the house. The interior was modest but cared for. Worn wood floors, quilts folded neatly. The scent of bread, stale but still lingering, hung in the air. It felt lived in, but shadowed. Her eyes caught on a doorway down the hall. Its frame was bare, its door closed tight. Something about it unsettled her. "You'll sleep here," Elijah said, leading her into a small room. A simple bed, a chest, a window facing the endless fields. Anna nodded, setting her carpetbag down. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. "Thank you." He lingered at the threshold. His eyes, steady, guarded, rested on her for a heartbeat too long. Then he nodded once, firmly. "Rest. Tomorrow, you'll learn the ways of the ranch." He turned to leave, but Anna's voice caught him. "Elijah." He paused. Her heart raced. She wanted to ask about his children, about that locked door, about why he'd chosen her when he didn't even know her. But the words tangled in her throat. Instead, she whispered, "Why me?" Truly, Elijah's shoulders stiffened. His voice, when it came, was rough. "Because I needed someone, and you were there." He left before she could respond. The silence of the room pressed in. Anna sat on the edge of the bed, her chest aching with confusion. Through the thin wall, she heard Clara's voice, sharp, angry. "She'll never replace Ma." The boy whispered back, trembling. "But what if she tries?" Anna pressed a hand to her lips, fighting back tears. Outside, the wind howled against the prairie. Inside, she was caught between hope and the chilling truth. She wasn't just stepping into Elijah's life. She was stepping into his ghosts. Her gaze drifted back to the locked door in the hallway. Why did it feel like it was watching her? Guarding a secret? Her heart whispered a warning. Whatever lay behind that door could shatter everything. Anna lies awake in her small room, hearing the children whisper in the night, the floorboards creaking with Elijah's footsteps. Her gaze fixes on the locked door, and she knows, someday, she will have to open it. Morning broke over the prairie, a pale wash of light stretching across endless fields. Anna rose before dawn. She hadn't slept much, her thoughts circling, restless. The whispers of Elijah's children still echoed in her mind, and that locked door haunted her dreams. She dressed quietly, smoothing her skirt, and stepped into the kitchen. The girl, Clara, was already there. 10 years old, braids hanging tight, her hands on her hips like she owned the room. Her eyes narrowed at Anna. "We don't need you." The words were daggers. Anna drew in a slow breath, trying to steady her voice. "Maybe not, but I'm here," Clara huffed, slamming a cup down on the table. The boy, Samuel, peeked out from behind the doorway, uncertain. His wide eyes darted between them, caught in the storm of sister and stranger. Anna forced a small smile. "Why don't I make breakfast? It'll be my way of starting the day right." She moved to the pantry. Flour, salt, a jar of dried apples. It wasn't much, but she had made do with less before. Clara watched, arms crossed, lips pressed thin. The silence was sharp, heavy. Anna's hands trembled as she kneaded dough. She longed to win them over, to show she wasn't here to replace, only to belong. The door creaked. Elijah entered, shoulders filling the room. His eyes flickered to the table, then to Anna. He paused. Something unreadable passed over his face. "Smells good," he said, voice low. Anna's chest warmed at the words, but Clara snapped before she could answer. "It's not the same as Ma's." The air froze. Anna's fingers stilled on the dough. Her throat closed tight. "Ma." Elijah's jaw clenched. He set his hat on the hook and spoke in a voice that brooked no argument. "That's enough, Clara." But the girl's glare lingered. Her hurt lingered. Anna swallowed her own ache. She wanted to reach for Clara, to tell her she wasn't here to erase her mother. But the words wouldn't come. Breakfast passed in silence, broken only by the scrape of spoons and the ticking of the clock. Afterward, Elijah took Samuel outside to tend the animals. Anna stayed behind, cleaning dishes. Clara remained at the table, arms folded, gaze sharp as knives. Finally, Anna spoke softly. "I don't want to take your mother's place, Clara." The girl's eyes glistened with anger. "Then don't." She shoved back from the table, stomping down the hall. Anna's gaze followed straight to that locked door. Clara stopped in front of it for a heartbeat, her small hand brushing the wood, tender, almost reverent. Then she vanished into her own room. Anna's breath caught. What was behind that door? Why did it feel like the whole house pulsed around it? Later that afternoon, Elijah handed her a pail. "You'll help with the wash," he said. "Best to learn the work now." She nodded, though her hands were already raw from scrubbing. She followed him to the line where sheets snapped in the wind. The silence between them stretched, thick and taut. Finally, she dared to ask, "Clara hates me." Elijah's eyes lifted to hers. His voice was steady, but edged with something she couldn't name. "Clara lost her mother not long ago. She doesn't hate you. She hates change." The words sank heavy into Anna's chest. Not long ago. The locked door. The whispers. The way Clara's small hand lingered on the frame. Anna's breath trembled. "And you? Do you hate change?" For the first time, Elijah's eyes flickered. The wall cracked. "Just barely. I reckon I don't get a choice." He turned back to the work, shutting the moment down, shutting her out. Anna's heart ached. She wanted to reach through his silence, to know him, to matter to him, but the distance was thick as glass. That night, long after the house went quiet, Anna lay awake. Moonlight spilled across her small room, silver and cold. Her eyes drifted to the hallway beyond her door, to the one door that never opened. She heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, cross the floor. "Elijah." She rose, silent as breath, and peered through the crack of her doorway. He stood before the locked door, hand resting on the knob. His head bowed low, shoulders bent under an invisible weight. He didn't open it, didn't move, just stood there. The moonlight carved his face in shadows, and for the first time, Anna saw it. The grief, the heartbreak, the secret he carried like a chain. Her chest tightened, her hand trembled on the frame, and she knew whatever was behind that door was the key to Elijah Carter's heart. Anna watches as Elijah lingers at the locked door in the moonlight, his grief visible at last. He whispers a name she cannot hear, then turns and walks away, leaving her shaken, desperate to know the truth. The morning sun rose warm, gilding the ranch in shades of copper and gold. Anna woke to the sound of roosters and Samuel's laughter outside. For the first time since stepping foot on this land, the sound made her smile. She dressed quickly, tying her hair back, and stepped into the yard. Samuel was crouched near the chicken coop, hands full of feed. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "Want to help?" he asked eagerly. Her heart softened. She knelt beside him, cupping a handful of seed. Chickens clucked and scrambled around their feet, pecking greedily. Samuel giggled, a sound so pure, so full of life, it melted the ache in Anna's chest. "You're good at this," she teased gently. "Ma used to let me do it," he said, pride swelling in his small voice. Then his expression dimmed. "Clara says I shouldn't talk about her to you." Anna's throat tightened. She set the feed aside and touched his shoulder softly. "You can talk to me about her. I won't ever stop you." Samuel's eyes lifted to hers, shimmering with trust. A fragile bridge, forming plank by plank. But Clara's sharp voice cut through the moment. "Sam, don't listen to her." Anna turned. Clara stood near the porch, fists clenched, jaw trembling with fury. "She's not our mother. She never will be." The word struck Samuel like a blow. He dropped the feed, shoulders hunching, eyes filling with tears. Anna rose slowly. "Clara, I'm not trying to take her place." "Then why are you here?" Clara snapped, eyes blazing. "Pa only brought you because he doesn't know what else to do." The truth in the girl's voice cut deep. Anna opened her mouth, but Elijah appeared then, stepping from the barn, his gaze sharp as a blade. "Enough," he commanded. Clara's lips pressed tight. She spun on her heel and stormed inside, the door slamming behind her. The silence left behind was raw, painful. Elijah's eyes flickered to Anna, then to Samuel. "You'll come with me today," he said simply. It wasn't a request. The day wore on with ranch work. Fences needed mending. Horses needed water. Anna worked alongside them, her hands blistered, her body aching, but she didn't complain. Elijah watched her more than once, quietly from the corner of his eye. She felt his gaze, but whenever she turned, he was already looking away. By evening, exhaustion weighed heavy on her bones. She returned inside, where the house was cloaked in twilight. The children were quiet. Clara stayed hidden in her room. Samuel curled up with a book by the fire. Anna drifted toward the hallway, her eyes drawn again to the locked door. She paused, her heart thundering. Should she dare? Her hand hovered near the knob. The wood felt cool beneath her fingertips. She leaned close, breath shallow, and froze. A whisper, a faint, aching whisper from inside the room. Her name, Anna. Her knees weakened. She stumbled back, heart racing. It wasn't possible. She had imagined it. Hadn't she? The sound of boots broke her trance. Elijah appeared behind her, his eyes shadowed, his voice low. "Stay away from that door." His tone wasn't harsh. It was desperate. Anna swallowed hard, trying to steady her breath. "Why? What are you hiding?" Elijah's jaw tightened, his gaze locking on hers like steel. Some doors are locked for a reason. The air between them vibrated, thick with unspoken truths. He stepped past her, his broad frame filling the hallway. His hand lingered on the knob of that cursed door, as though guarding it. Then he turned his back, leaving her standing there in the half-dark, her heart in chaos. But Anna knew, no matter what he said, one day she would open that door. As Anna lies awake, she swears she hears it again, her name whispered faintly through the wood. And this time, she knows she isn't imagining it. The prairie was restless that night. Wind howled against the windows. Rafters groaned like old bones. Anna lay in her small bed, her body weary, her mind wide awake. The whisper still echoed inside her. Her name, soft, desperate, Anna. She pressed the quilt to her chest, breath trembling. It couldn't be real. And yet, she had felt it. When dawn finally broke, pale and gray, she moved through the morning like a ghost. In the kitchen, Samuel greeted her with a shy smile. Clara, as always, glared with suspicion. Elijah said little, his voice gruff as he passed out instructions for the day. But Anna's eyes kept drifting to the hallway, to the locked door that seemed to hum with secrets. Later, while hanging wash on the line, Anna found herself near Elijah. His sleeves were rolled up, arms corded with strength as he worked the fence. She gathered courage, voice quiet but steady. "I heard something last night." He paused, hammer in hand. "What kind of something?" Her gaze dropped. A voice, calling my name. From inside that room, the silence was heavy. His jaw flexed. His eyes, those steady, storm-colored eyes, met hers at last. "It was the wind," he said flatly. But his tone was too sharp, too fast. Anna's heart clenched. "You're lying." The hammer struck the post harder than needed. He turned his back, voice rough. "Don't ask again." Her chest burned. His walls were iron, impenetrable. And yet, she had seen the sorrow etched into him, the way he lingered at that door at night. He wasn't protecting the room. He was protecting himself. That evening, Samuel asked Anna to read to him by the fire. His small head leaned against her shoulder, his trust warming her heart. Clara sat across the room, arms folded, eyes narrowed. "He never lets anyone read to him," Clara muttered. "Not since, Ma." Her tone dripped with bitterness, but her eyes shimmered with something else. Fear. Loss. Anna closed the book softly, her gaze lifting to Elijah, who stood by the hearth, staring into the flames as if trying to burn memories away. The firelight carved his face in gold and shadow. His silence was loud. Finally, Anna spoke. Her voice was gentle, but it carried. "Elijah, you carry your grief like chain. But it's not just yours anymore. It weighs on this house, on your children, on me." The room stilled. Even Clara's defiance faltered. Elijah's eyes lifted, and for the first time, his mask cracked. Pain bled through. Raw, jagged. "You think you know grief?" he asked, voice low, breaking. "You don't. You can't." He turned, his hand gripping the mantel hard, as though the wood was the only thing holding him upright. Anna rose slowly, heart pounding, drawn toward him despite the walls, the danger, the distance. "Then let me," she whispered. "Let me know it. Let me carry some of it with you." His shoulders stiffened. He looked at her, really looked at her. For a heartbeat, something shifted. His hand brushed hers. Rough, calloused, trembling. Her breath caught. The air between them charged, thick with something unspoken, unclaimed. But then, a sound, a faint thud. From the locked room, Clara gasped, bolting upright. Samuel buried his face against Anna's side. Elijah's face turned to stone. He moved fast, crossing the room, every step sharp with urgency. He stood before the locked door, his body blocking it, his voice harsh. "Take the children upstairs. Now." Anna's pulse raced. "Elijah, what's in there?" His eyes snapped to hers, blazing with a mix of fear and fury. "Go!" The command rang through the house. Final, unyielding. Anna gathered Samuel, her heart breaking, her mind screaming for answers. Clara clung to the stair rail, eyes wide with terror. As Anna led them upward, she glanced back, just in time to see Elijah's hand grip the key he always carried on a chain around his neck. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The door shut behind him with a sound that felt like the end of everything. Anna holds Samuel tight as she and Clara listen from upstairs. Through the floorboards, faintly, comes the sound of Elijah's voice, broken, pleading, as though speaking to someone who should not be there. The night dragged on, heavy and endless. Anna sat upright in the small bed upstairs, Samuel curled against her side, his tiny breaths uneven, restless. But her eyes never closed. Her ears strained against the silence. And beneath the hush of the house, she swore she heard it again. A low murmur, Elijah's voice, broken, pleading, coming from the locked room. Her chest tightened, her breath trembling. She couldn't wait any longer. She had to know. At last, when the house stilled, she rose. She tucked the quilt around Samuel, brushed his hair softly, and stepped into the hall. Clara was there, leaning against the wall, eyes sharp in the moonlight. "You shouldn't go," Clara whispered. Anna froze. "Why not?" Clara's gaze darted toward the door at the end of the hall. Her small jaw clenched, her voice unsteady. "Because if you do, you will see the truth, and Pa will never forgive you." Anna's heart pounded. "Truth. Clara, what's behind that door?" But the girl only shook her head and fled back into her room, the door shutting tight. Anna's feet moved of their own accord, step by step, down the hallway that felt longer with every breath. The locked door loomed before her. Her hand shook as she reached for the knob. Cold metal kissed her palm. It wouldn't budge, but then her eyes caught it. The key, still hanging from a nail near the mantel, where Elijah had left it after the fire's glow had dimmed. Anna's pulse thundered as she took it, her hands trembling. She slid the key into the lock, turned it. Click! The door creaked open. The air inside was stale, heavy with dust and memories. Moonlight spilled across a room frozen in time. Anna's breath caught. A woman's dress lay draped across a chair. A half-knitted shawl rested on a basket. A comb sat on the dresser, strands of long, dark hair still tangled in its teeth. It was a shrine, untouched, preserved, the children's mother. Anna stepped inside, her chest aching with every heartbeat. Her gaze fell to the bed, neatly made, except for one thing. A journal lay open, pages worn thin by countless readings. Elijah's handwriting scrawled across the margins. Pleas, confessions, words of grief, spoken to a woman who would never answer. Anna's throat burned. This wasn't just a room. It was Elijah's wound, his ghost, his chain. Her fingers brushed the journal when, "What are you doing?" His voice cut the air like a whip. Anna spun around. Elijah stood in the doorway, face carved with fury and, something worse, betrayal. His eyes blazed as he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. I told you never to come in here. Anna's lips parted, her voice trembling. Elijah, you can't live like this. Holding on to shadows. Locking yourself in a room with the past while the living, your children, ache for you. His chest rose and fell ragged. His fists clenched. You don't understand. She was my wife, my heart, my whole damn world. Anna's eyes filled with tears. And she's gone. You can't bring her back by keeping her ghost alive in here. For the first time, his voice broke. If I let go, if I move on, it's like she never mattered. The words tore through Anna, raw and jagged. She stepped closer, her own grief spilling forward. No, Elijah. It's the opposite. If you let go, if you live again, it means she gave you love worth carrying into the future. Don't you see? You're punishing yourself. You're punishing them. And me. The silence after was thick with anguish. His eyes locked on hers, fury and sorrow colliding. Then, suddenly, his hand was at her wrist, pulling her closer, his breath rough against her cheek. Not anger now. Desperation. Why can't you just leave it alone? He rasped. Her tears shone in the moonlight. Because I see you, Elijah Carter, and I won't stop until you see me too. The space between them burned. His grip softened, trembling. His lips parted as though to speak. But then a small, broken voice shattered the moment. Pa! They both turned. Clara stood in the doorway, her face pale, eyes wide, her body shaking with the weight of what she had just seen. Her voice cracked like glass. You still love her more than us. She fled into the night, the sound of her sobs echoing down the hall. Elijah's face crumpled, and his heart broke. The locked door had finally opened. But now, so had the wound inside his daughter's heart. Anna and Elijah stand frozen in the dead woman's room, torn between grief and the spark of something new, while Clara's anguished sobs vanish into the darkness outside. And Anna knows one wrong step could shatter the fragile family forever. The night exploded into chaos. Clara's footsteps pounded down the stairs. The front door slammed against the frame. Then silence, swallowed by the endless plains. Anna's breath caught in her chest. Clara! But Elijah was already gone, racing after her into the darkness, his boots hitting the earth like thunder. Anna followed, her skirts snagging in the grass, her voice hoarse with panic. Clara, please wait. The prairie stretched out before them, silver under the moon. The wind whipped, cruel and cold, carrying the child's sobs just out of reach. At last, Elijah caught her. His hands grasped her small shoulders, turning her to face him. Clara, stop! She fought him, fists pounding against his chest. You don't love us. You never loved us. You love her more. She's dead, Pa, and you still love her more. Her voice broke into a scream that tore through the night. Elijah froze, her words slicing into him deeper than any blade. His arms fell slack. His chest heaved. Anna reached them, her heart splitting wide. She dropped to her knees beside the girl, gathering Clara into her arms despite her resistance. That isn't true, Anna whispered fiercely. Your father loves you. He breathes for you. Every sunrise, he rises for you and Samuel. But he's hurting, Clara, and sometimes hurt blinds us to the ones right in front of us. Clara's sobs shook against her. He kept her room, like she never left. Like we're not enough. Elijah's voice cracked behind them. Because I thought if I let go, I'd lose her forever. He sank to his knees before his daughter, his face raw, stripped of pride. But I see now, it's you I've been losing. Every day, you and Samuel, and Anna. His hand trembled as he reached for Clara's cheek. I'm sorry. Forgive me, baby girl. The child's eyes, wet and blazing, searched his face. Then, slowly, painfully, she collapsed against him. Father and daughter clung to each other, weeping into the cold night. Anna's heart twisted at the sight. Hope, fragile and flickering, pressed against her chest. But she knew this was the moment. The moment he had to choose, not between past and future, but between death and life. Elijah lifted his gaze to Anna, and for the first time, she saw him unguarded. A man stripped of armor. A man at the edge of breaking. Anna, he whispered, I don't know how to let her go. I don't know how to stop loving her. Tears streamed down Anna's cheeks. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. You don't have to stop. Love like that, it never dies. But it doesn't mean there's no room left in your heart. It doesn't mean you can't love again. Her hand brushed against his, gentle, daring. Let me in, Elijah. Not to erase her, not to replace her, but to stand beside you, to love them. The wind howled through the grass. The earth seemed to hold its breath. Elijah stared at her as though seeing her for the first time, not as a stranger from the depot, not as a replacement, but as something new. His hand closed over hers, rough, shaking, certain. Wife, he said, his voice breaking but steady. Stay, be my wife. The words struck deep, like a bell in her soul. Anna's tears fell freely, her smile trembling. Yes. Clara's small voice broke through, soft but clear. Does that mean we're a family? Anna cupped the girl's cheek, pressing a kiss to her hair. Yes, Clara. Forever. Elijah pulled them both into his arms, holding them as if the world itself might try to tear them apart again. And as dawn crept across the horizon, painting the plains gold, Anna knew the trunk at the depot was not the end of her story. It was the beginning. But even as the Carter family embraced a fragile hope, Anna's heart whispered a question into the sunrise. Could love, born of sorrow and second chances, truly survive the shadows of the past? The answer, she knew, would be written in every day yet to come.